Gundam the 8th MS Team is an OVA series similar to 0080 War in the Pocket, in that it takes place during the events of the original Mobile Suit Gundam. This one, however, taking place across the entire war up until the last couple of weeks. Also, unlike War in the Pocket, which was 6 episodes, 8th MS Team is 12. An interesting aspect about the 8th MS Team is that it takes place pretty much in the perspective of a normal soldier in the Earth Federation during the actual war. Because of this, there's no mention of new types, and there is only one space battle which occurs in the first episode, while the rest of the series is mainly jungle and guerrilla warfare style fighting, which is very unique to Gundam in general. The animation in the 8th MS Team is great. There's plenty of detail and fluidity in both the environments and the characters. The mobile suits especially have a very heavy look feel to them in this series, which fits the mood of the show. A lot of the environments in the series are mostly jungle, and there's an incredible amount of detail that goes into these shots. Similar to 0080 War in the Pocket, this is an OVA series, this one lasting up to 12 episodes like I said before, and is understandable as to why the animation is so good. If this show was stretched out to the length of an average series, which usually range between 24-26 episodes on average, I'm sure the animation would have suffered. But luckily, this short length of the show inspired higher quality animation. The overall art direction in particular, I believe, should get special notice, because despite the show basically being centered around giant robots, it still has a very war story-like feel to it because of how gritty everything looks. The music and sound effects in this anime were also quite good. It's very important in this type of show to get the sound effects just right in order to get the look and feel of the show to translate well, and the series does a good job of this. Whenever a battle occurs, the sound effects greatly enhance the experience. The music was also quite good in matching the tone of certain scenes and fitting the overall mood and atmosphere of the show. The voice acting, in my opinion, was also quite good. The English dub was pretty good. The cast certainly did a good job of putting each character as they should. Now, the show stars mainly Shiro Amada. He's an Earth Federation soldier who was turned into the captain of the 8th MS Team. The story mainly focuses on him, his team, a village girl named Kiki, and Aina Sahalin, who is a Zeon soldier. Shiro and Aina meet in the first episode due to certain circumstances. Despite being on opposite sides of the battle, they end up caring for each other. This carries a certain Romeo and Juliet vibe to it, but it's not handled in the same way, which I believe serves to strengthen the series, because it doesn't feel derivative because of it. Other than the romance between the two characters, the majority of the show is basically following the exploits of the 8th MS Team, their trials and tribulations as Earth Federation soldiers fighting a war against Zeon. Of course, there's more to it than that. Aina has a brother named Ginius, who is a rear admiral for the Zeon, and he's working on an incredible mobile suit capable of piercing a hole into a mountain with its laser technology. This adds a nice dynamic in the story, since it's not only Aina that's part of Zeon, but her brother as well. Shiro himself, as a character, serves as a good protagonist. He's a clever person who comes up with interesting plans during missions, which is more often than not the defining reason as to why this team scrapes by the way they do. The rest of the team is interesting as well. Each of them have their own backstory. However, since it is only 12 episodes, it isn't as delved into as quite as much as I would have liked. But they're still interesting enough regardless. Overall, the plot and characters do a good job of keeping your interest. However, I have to say that since the director unfortunately died at some point during the production of this series, it negatively affected the last 2 episodes especially for this series. Unfortunately, the last 2 episodes could have been handled better, and it keeps the show from being as good as it could have been. I'm actually going to go as far as to say is to not watch the last episode at all. The entire episode is really just filler, and doesn't need to be watched, except for the last minute or 2. However, don't let this deter you from watching the series, because the overall show is quite good. In the end, 8th MS Team is a good but not great series. It's certainly well made and has high production values, good music, a good dub, great fight scenes, and an interesting cast of characters. It also helps that despite being part of the Universal Century timeline, it isn't really required to have watched the original show, nor is it necessary to watch this show in order to enjoy another series, which are all pluses. However, the last 2 episodes keep it from real greatness, unfortunately. Still, like I said before, don't let that scare you from watching this series, because it is an overall positive experience, and it does deserve to be watched. Anyway, this has been Shintai, everyone. Take it easy.